Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough of the Breach Expedition for No Man's Sky. In this expedition I'm going to run through the whole thing. It's not going to be, I'm not going to speed run it, but we'll get through there. I'm using a new save for this, so this is not my existing character. He doesn't have my multi-tool or all of the gadgets that I've got, so we've just got to see what we've got to play with on this playthrough, which we'll have a look at very shortly. And the rewards for this playthrough are some nice black parts for the Corvette so that we can make some fancy new Corvette designs, along with a few other things. And it looks like I'm starting out with a interesting looking Gek. Not the type of character that I would have chosen, but nonetheless that's what we've got, so we're going to go ahead with that. And just going to reposition some of the modules, just to see if we can get a little bit better bonuses from them by putting them into supercharged slots. Yeah, we'll put those two Boltcaster modules together, get a bit of a benefit. And so to begin with, I'm going to obviously just scan some bits and pieces to make sure that I get the maximum benefit from them when I mine them. And we're going to mine some materials because we're going to need some core materials in order to be able to craft the things that we need to craft for the game. So just scanning just picks up a little bit of money as well. If we had better scanner upgrades, it would pick up a lot more cash, but you're starting from a complete new start here. And if you were unaware about this, you can, if you start one of these expeditions on a new play, you can just keep it and make that your main save if you want to. And that's probably a good thing to do if you're a new player, is to actually start with an expedition. I would highly recommend that over just starting the tutorial. You will have to actually do the tutorial at the end of the expedition if you do decide to keep it. That's just the way it goes. I know this because that's exactly what happened to me. I started my main save with the Corvette expedition, and then the moment I finished it, it started the tutorial up on a really horrible world, actually, on a planet that was almost entirely mountains, and it was such a pain in the ass to try and do anything there, because it was sheer faces that you couldn't get up, you couldn't climb, and so I had to do a lot of very precise maneuvering in my Corvette to actually get to the locations that I needed to complete the tutorial. So that's just one of those things. I would just make sure that the first planet that you fly to after the expedition is a nice, gentle, easy planet, because that's where you're going to have to do the tutorial. Alright, so just gathering some resources here. Going to do a little bit of this mining and scanning combo. The early stages of an expedition like this are generally the most boring stages, because you just do need to gather some ingredients for along the way, because you start with nothing, as you saw when you looked in my inventory. You also don't have an advanced mining laser, so I can't mine any of those components. So the pace of this will pick up, and they tend to be pretty interesting going through these expeditions. There's certainly a lot more going on than what you'll find in the tutorial, and you get some pretty good rewards, especially for a new player, getting some really good, not just the Corvette modules, but you pick up some great other modules along the way, and all sorts of bits and pieces that they have hidden around in little lock boxes and such inside the expeditions. As I understand it, the expeditions are a kind of isolated, even though they are taking place out in the universe of No Man's Sky, they're kind of isolated from the rest of the game. And in this particular expedition, every single space station that you go to is an abandoned space station. So there's no one to interact with. There's no aliens to interact with in here. But that'll be kind of good because there's no distractions from them. I think distractions are one of the worst things that you face in this game, as there's just so many different things that you can do. It's easy to get sidetracked and to forget that, hey, I'm actually supposed to be completing these specific tasks. But the expedition is pretty good at keeping you on track. Just getting a truckload of carbon here from these purple and yellow spotted plants. We've got some condensed carbon up ahead, which I can't get that big lot, but I will be able to get these little ones. And we're pretty close to my ship now. And it looks like I have got a pink ship. Wow. So we are seriously visiting the Pride Parade on this run through with my pink spaceship and my little headdress that I've got going on. I don't know what they're up to here. Seeing if there's any other deposits worth visiting, especially things that can be turned into chromatic metal. We're going to need some chromatic metal, and so we need to get some metal that we can refine into chromatic metal, and there it is. We've got some quartzite. And I've got my terrain manipulation beam down to the smallest size so that I can harvest the most resource from this deposit. All gone. Oh, there's some crazy looking flora out there on this planet. It looks amazing. You've got like these enormous mushroomy type things over there in the distance, and some crazy twisted vines and things. They do have some really impressive looking planets out here. It's not just grey rocks. You get all sorts of colours, you get luminescent. Well, you can see this one here is luminescent, but don't get too close because that's a hazardous flora. I'd have a habit of running into those things. I'm going to pick up berry technology module here as well. Some salvage data may come in useful. So just harvesting whatever's in the sort of nearby area before I take off. And I've reached my first milestone, which is basically just make it to your ship. Which is kind of nice that you get some simpler milestones in some of these scenarios. Don't even have to dig for that one. It's right there. Must have been just poking through the surface. I haven't seen two of those right next to each other before. Then we pick up some nanites, which is a good start. And I don't know what this big stone thing is right here, so let's check it out and see. Memories of Haptemp, a Corvex plaque. Plaque is what you get on your teeth. Plaque is what you get on your gravestone. All right, we're getting a location. Historical data. What is that all about? Alright, we're going to jump into this pretty questionable looking spaceship and head off. Oh, are we? We need some pure ferrite. That's what we need. So we're going to have to do a little refining by the looks of things. We've got... got ferrite. Got no pure ferrite. Just analyze those geodes. That gives me a little bit of pure ferrite, which is good. I think that should actually be enough to take off. All right, so checking out our goals in here, and you have goals in 5 phases, and there's about 7 for each of those, which would equate to 35 total goals. So we just got our first reward there, a personal refiner unit. So great. What an amazing first reward, a personal refiner. I don't even have one of those on my main save, so that's really good. So we need some chromatic metal to install a personal refiner. And there we go. Look at that. That is going to come in real useful. All right, we're out of here. What are we doing now? Just some more harvesting, although we'll try not to blow stuff up instead. All right, we're halfway there. Just got to get the rest of these ingredients and... so I need to put out a portable refiner in order to refine things so that I can create a personal refiner. going to do that quartzite, which will give us 356. So we've got chromatic metal up the wazoo now, enough to keep us going for a little while. You can put it in, but you can't take it out. And there you go, we've got a functional personal refiner. We'll just convert this into condensed carbon. And we can convert that ferrite dust into pure ferrite. We've got the double refiner action going. Alright, what else are we doing over here? Now, if you weren't aware, I am actually doing the voiceover for this at a later stage from recording. I just wanted to power through this expedition as quickly as I could, really. And I managed to do that pretty quickly, a heck of a lot faster than I got through the first expedition anyway. But I didn't record any voice for it, so I'm just doing the voice at this stage. And we should be able to repair our launch thruster now. Great, so that's going to be working and we can make a move. So we need a couple of items to repair that. Metal plating, for which we need ferrite dust. And look at that, I converted all of my ferrite dust into pure ferrite, so I don't have any left. So this is a good lesson for you, little ones, is make sure that you have the variance of your elements. There's no point having all magnetized ferrite. You need ferrite and pure ferrite and magnetized ferrite. So yeah, just one of those things in the game is you need to have all of the variants, and sometimes the lower form of the variant is the thing that you need. So back out here trying to find more ferrite dust. And who would have thunk it? Just when you needed the most abundant resource, it's not around. Then we got a little bit there. Alright, we got the metal plating. So, can we now leave? They do have some interesting starship designs in this game. And I definitely credit them for that. They don't just look like your basic boxes. Pretty much all of the starships I remember from Elite Dangerous all just look like wedges. They're all just wedges. At least in this you've got some quite interesting designs for starships. Going to put that launch thruster in there to try and minimize the amount of launch fuel. I hope that that's the way that it works, minimize the amount of launch fuel that I need to fly away. Alright, after a little bit of organization, probably recharge that mining beam. we can mosey. Oh, back out again. What am I looking for this time? I must believe that I'm short on something. I did have a little bit of a... Like, I came into this with a plan, so I had a little bit of an idea about what I needed at the time when I did it. So I can't actually right now remember what it was specifically that I was looking for, but I might have wanted certain elements or a certain amount of certain elements. And there's certain things that you just always need in this game. You can never have too much carbon in this game, for one thing. For your building, you need a lot of ferrite dust. So I'm probably overkilling it at this point for the amount of resource that I actually need right now. But I think that my mindset was, well, just get as much of it as I can right now so that I don't have to worry about being caught out and having to come back at another stage. Everything's looking reasonably healthy. I can definitely see the advantage of coming into this with your main character and just being able to bring some resource with you. And I think, to be honest, after I finished this expedition, I somewhat regretted not coming in with my main character, because you don't get to also take things back with you. And I will tell you that I picked up some things on this expedition that I was super unhappy about not being able to port back over to my main save. I did this on a new save because the advice that I'd sort of seen was, well, if anything goes wrong during the expedition, it could cause major problems for your main save, which of course you don't want. But nothing did happen in that respect, and I kind of wish that I had just done it on my main save, because I picked up a few modules on this that I was like, those are the main things that I really want on my main save, and I didn't get them. And as far as I'm aware, they are random drops, so I think that even if I was to go back and replay this on my main save, I wouldn't necessarily get those things. So we're just going over and checking out this ruin to see what's going on there. That atmosphere looks so cool down there, the yellow fading into that lavender. Now, can you just tell me, if you're watching this and you are a player who has played through a number of these expeditions before, have you ever run into any problems with your main save when you've brought your main save into one of these expeditions? Is there a genuine danger there, or is that just something that happened once or twice in the past and now everybody's overzealous about it? So these are... I've been to these before, or something similar to this. Is a dig site. Basically, there's a bunch of underground bits and pieces down here that you can go and dig for. But I think at the time that I rolled in here, I wasn't aware of that. So you can see I'm getting distracted by all of these pretty things around here. But I don't go and visit any knowledge stones on this. There's just simply no point, because there's no point. This is not my main save, so I'm not going to be... there's no point me having any of the languages and stuff. So I try and keep on track for the most part for this. It is a game though that is just so easy to get distracted by things. Right, so these are the fragments that we want to be getting, and that's actually the last thing that I want to visit in here because I need wrong beam. Oh, and that's right, this was unusual. I haven't encountered this before, but this was terrain that wouldn't manipulate. What's that all about, guys? Terrain that won't manipulate. So head over here. I believe I can get down into this stuff, but that terrain was not cooperating. So we got our first key. You have to get 2 more of those. And then you can go for the main cache, if you can get to it. Now this one I think you had to go inside the building to get to it. Oh well, look at that, it's right near the surface, so easy to pick up. But why didn't that appear the first time when I scanned around there? I'll have another go at this. Yeah, it's just not giving me any love. And it disappeared. There we go. Can't get into that ground. I don't know what that's all about. So it turns out if I went back here, I was able to get to it. But I still need a key. I don't have enough keys. 1 key, 2 key, but... Oh no, what window? Oh, I didn't even see myself pick up that 3rd key. Wow, not paying attention. And we got a fossil sample, which is kind of good actually, because one of the jobs that you have to do on this expedition is to put together a fossil, what's it called? A fossil case or something. So you have to erect a complete fossil. And that's a part of a fossil, so it's not entirely useless. And over here we're going to this crazy green looking glow in the dark pond. And we'll see here about picking up some humming sacks, some albumin pearls. And we've got some cobalt here as well. And cobalt is a metal, and cobalt can be converted into chromatic metal. But we've also got tritium here, which is interesting. Tritium is what we need for one of our engine fuels for our starship. So we're back into the mining. The ceaseless mining. Alright, so we pick up a little bit of this stuff. And it appears that there is a sentinel nearby who's come to hassle me. And I think I know where he's there, but I'm not sure exactly where he is. So I take a beeline out of there just to give myself a little bit of a space so I don't get hassled by the sentinels. Although it looks like I'm going to just go for it anyway. As you'll be aware if you watched my first expedition playthrough, I'm a big fan of the Gravitino balls, which are a great way of getting early game cash. They're also a great way of getting aggroed by sentinels, which is what's about to happen here. So there they are. They appear the moment that you grab a Gravitino ball. Which was probably not worth it really for the one Gravitino ball. But cash is always useful. Those wormy tendrils. And the sentinels have gotten bored. I'm just trying to see what that thing is. But it doesn't appear to be a thing. It's just, it's not a mineral by the looks of things, it's just a terrain feature. And there's a sentinel right there. It'll take him long to find me again. It's going to hide near this building from the sentinel. And we're going to craft some ion batteries by the looks of things. Indeed we are. We're going to have 10 ion batteries, which is a great idea. They do come in immensely handy. Got some carbon nanotubes as well. And some metal plating, seeing as they tend to be very useful. Nope. Neither of those two things. But you can do the slime. And there's a sentinel real close by as well. So I must have been pretty keen on getting this tritium and cobalt combo here. So just having a look around to see if there's anything worth scanning in the cave. I mean, to be honest, it's not really that big of a deal because I'm not getting that much money for the scanning. Really. I think you get into some habits. You get in habits in this game, and I'm definitely in a habit of scanning everything. On my main save, I now do make some decent money from scanning, so I'm just kind of used to it. And you fall back into old habits quite easily. So there is a sentinel just floating around nearby. So I think I'm about to get out of here. I think. Alright, is it time to vacate this planet? Oh, looks like it is. Looks like it is. I can't remember. There. Okay, that's for our. That's our second reward. Is left the planet. Get off the planet, and now we're going to do a little bit of asteroid mining. Just so we've got some fuels for our starship. Not too far away. And this is the easy way to get gold, silver and tritium. Get it by the truckload out in these places. Just takes a little while. But it's easy money. And that's our third milestone. We needed to mine 20 asteroids. So that's what I was doing out there, is just getting that milestone, as well as picking up some more fuel for the starship. And getting some more valuables, because of course you can sell gold and silver. I wish I had some actual gold and silver. And it's interesting to see, I mean, the mining in space games tends to fall into the same category, which is sit there and shoot stuff to mine it. Has anybody out there, you played any other games that have space mining and it's something different? I remember in EVE Online, you could basically just sit there and set it to, and it would mine a big chunk of an asteroid. And you just sit there, you could go AFK as well, and it would just mine it for you. It'd take a long time to do though in EVE Online. The mining would take, oh, you could easily just sit there for half an hour, not doing anything, not having to touch anything on your keyboard, and it would mine away. I don't know about any other games, what the mining's like in that. Has anybody played Star Citizen? What's the mining like in that? I mean, this is easy to go. You don't need a specialized mining laser or anything. You just do a laser, use your normal laser, and it will mine things for you. Pretty straightforward. I'm aware that in like EVE you could do mining drones as well. send your mining drones out and they will go and mine things. But of course, in Eve, you had to watch out that you didn't get attacked by pirates while you were mining, especially if you were AFK. Not good. In X4, you can mine, and it's very similar to this, but you can also, just about to have my first encounter with these blue space jellyfish, which, by the looks of things, don't give you any resources or anything. Yeah, so X4, basically you can actually just create a mining fleet and they will just permanently go out and mine for you, which is real good. Obviously that's a different type of game though. I think X4 appeals if you want to build a big empire in space. You want to be an industrialist in space. X4 is the game for you. You've got to not mind spreadsheet type layouts though. There's a lot of text. It is worse, a lot worse than this. This is much more an in-person style space game, which I tend to prefer. Tend to want to go in this direction. And the one thing that annoyed me about X4, I really did love that game. I thought X4 was actually a really good game. But the one thing that annoyed me, well, there was a few things that annoyed me. It was very spreadsheety. It was a little bit clunky to get things to work, especially if you were trying to, say, build a space base. And I mean out in space, not on a planet. Because you don't land on planets in X4, which is one of the downsides of it. But getting all of the ships to actually bring the correct ingredients that you needed could take quite some time. But one of the things that really did annoy me about X4 was the fact that you were always just on this clock, because the bad guys, the alien race that was very aggressive, would quite quickly invade space, and you kind of felt like it was up to you, because I was aware that the other races weren't doing a lot to fight them off, so it was kind of up to you to prevent this massive alien invasion. And rather than just go around and do the stuff that I wanted to do, I felt like I had to protect the galaxy. And that took away from the fun factor. That would have been good if you could have turned that off. If you could have had a setting where you're not just going to have the entire galaxy invaded by aliens, you know, they will be there, they will aggro things, especially if you go into their space, but they'll more or less just stay within their own space, and that allows you the opportunity to just do what you want to do. I don't know. If you've played X4, tell me what your experience is of the game. So we just got a base computer, hyperdrive, and completed Wings in the Dark. Nice. So you can see these stations here, which look really cool with the black and the red. But there's I've got a couple of gripes about these stations. The stations are empty, and that is fine. That's the way they're set up. You've got two sides to the station. One side has a couple of little things that you can pick up in lock boxes, and then the other side is where you go to get the Galactic Trade Terminal, which is what you're generally going there for. And they're a little far apart. Got the Nautilon platform. That was my first exocraft here. I've never used an exocraft up until this point. Yeah, they're a little far apart, and especially once you built your Corvette. Oh my god, that was really annoying. It's annoying that your Corvettes park in a different spot from the other ships, and they park miles away, miles away from anything else, and there are no active teleporters on these abandoned space stations, so you have to walk. And it takes ages. So every time we went to a space station, you'd have to spend like a couple of minutes walking from your Corvette to these places. So this is the one side. So the one side here, we've got a couple of lock boxes, which I did pick up some quite good stuff in here. I'd have to say this is where I picked up, not in this particular one right here, but at one of these stations, I picked up the best things, the things that I really wanted to actually keep back on my main save. But you've got like about 3 things that you pick up on that one side, and then you have to go over to the other side in order to sell them or do whatever. And there were a couple of areas that are locked behind Atlas passes. I don't know what is in them. If you've got an Atlas pass and you went to... Oh, you've also got your exosuit upgrade over here as well. And you did really want these for this, because you do gather a fair few things, so you kind of want those exosuit upgrades. As I was saying though, if you do have an Atlas pass, what's behind those doors? I'd be interested to know. Is it worth it? Right, and so you had to wander from that side all the way over to here to the other side. I do end up just jetpacking that 90% of this playthrough, just jetpacking across there. But it would have been nice if it was all just kind of in one spot rather than having to go, oh, I'm going to now wander over here. So you felt like you were, you know, wandering around all over the place for not very many things located in these abandoned space stations. You had your nav data, which is fine, but again, never used it on the playthrough. You don't need any nav data for the playthrough. It would have been good to keep that nav data for my main save, but you don't get to bring that across. So what am I going to sell? I've got some Gravitino balls and some albumin pearls. Yeah, not much. Only picked up about 50k or so from those. Sold my silver. Yeah, sell those banned weapons. And definitely need some microprocessors. So I want to pick up a bunch of those. Also probably want some wiring loom. Always need wiring loom. Gonna pick up even more wiring loom by the looks of things. Yeah. I was very mindful of the fact that I was probably going to need a few things. I think I ended up having a little bit more of a number of these things than I needed, but it's kind of better to go that way. There's no harm spending the money because you don't get to keep it. If you do play on your main save, you do, though, get to keep all your money and everything. So I'm kind of like, that's why I very much regret having not done this on my main save. Humboldt Drive for the Nautilus submarine. All right, we've got a little bit of housekeeping going on there. And I can use my personal refiner on the run. Look at that. So good. Definitely came in really handy. It was really good, really fantastic first reward for this scenario. I think it's smoking away there. See, here it's not so bad, right? Because my ship is right in between those two. But when I get my Corvette, ugh, it becomes really annoying. And to be honest, I don't know if it might have been better to not actually use the Corvette for this. I only just really thought about that now. It gives you a Corvette, so by default you just use the Corvette. But I'm kind of thinking now, I don't really use my Corvette for anything. I suppose, no, I did a lot use the ability to just float, to just drop into a planet's atmosphere, just hover above the ground and then teleport down to the ground, which saves you launch fuel. So there was that. That was useful. But other than that, though, I mean, for visiting the space stations, just using the standard craft would have been better. There's no space combat in this expedition at all. So you don't need like a super combat oriented ship. Having fast hyperdrive speed and maneuverability, I think, is the main thing for this expedition, just to make sure that you can get around quick. So I've completed a few expedition goals, and one of the things to note on this is that you can complete you don't have to complete them in order. You can complete these expedition goals from all over the place. So if you're able to, you can complete a phase 5 expedition goal, like, you know, right now kind of thing. So you can see I completed one there in phase 2, I think, without actually being in phase 2. So those goals, yeah, they can be completed at any time, and it's often best to just look through and go, okay, what can I do here? Because there's a couple of goals that you can see there are riddled out. You can't actually read what they are until you get there. But there's a few things here that you can do sort of all together. So the next thing it's asked me to do is to warp to a new system. But I think that I'm hunting around to see about just going to, what's on this abandoned moon. I can actually remember what I was up to here, what I was aiming for. Shoot some more asteroids appears to be what I'm going to do. Alright, so now we've just skipped past that little bit. So we're heading for this moon. Now there must be a goal that I think that I can complete on this moon. I can't quite remember what it was. Just looking at the specs for the moon, I can't quite recall. But I do have a plan here. And I will remember it very shortly. Some of these planets, when they've got a storm or whatever going on, are so difficult to... It's so difficult to see where you are. What are you doing? Like, look at that. There's like zero visibility out there. And we've only just got underneath all that fog now, but it's still pretty dusty. Right, so what am I looking for down here? I don't think that that's what I'm looking for, but found something on Diadu. It's just the nav marker, isn't it? Yeah. So we have discovered a minor settlement. And there's a sentinel. Real close by. And from memory, I do get fairly severely hassled by sentinels here. And this is not a great planet. Because it's again one of those really mountainous planets that just makes getting around quite hard. Oh, was I trying to scan? What was I trying to do here? I'm trying to recall what it was. There is a particular goal that I have in mind for down here. But I can't remember what it is. So activated quartzite. What am I after here? I can't actually recall. I think I may have not seen in the vicinity what it is that I was actually really wanting to find. And so I just went for this activated quartzite. But it's a fair way away, and look at that terrain. The terrain is horrendous. I've been on quite a few planets like this, which are just basically mountains. It's all mountains, there's virtually no flat land at all. And they are horrid. I even went to a bountiful world, but it was in this kind of terrain, so it was virtually unusable. So I'm not certain why it is that I want activated quartzite. So I don't know. It seems like I might have gotten a little off track here, or or at least I just can't recall what it is that I was trying to find here, and then I get drawn into some random scanning and mining. Organic rock, haven't seen those before. So that's a hazmat gauntlet thing. So I did manage to find this quartzite. What was I after here? Was I just thinking the money, or? Normally when I watch these back, I can remember what I was up to. I remember what I had in mind, at least, around what I was doing. But right for this particular point in time, I cannot recall what it is that I was actually aiming for. What was I doing here? Was I just sidetracked while I was looking for something else, which is quite possible. I didn't get... So you're aware, if you're planning on watching the rest of the series, I did not get sidetracked typically on this expedition. I stayed pretty tight to the goals and managed to get through it reasonably quickly. I think you could power through this if you brought your main character and you brought a bunch of minerals and better multi-tool and things like that, and then you stayed on point. I think you could tear through this fairly quickly. I am completely aware that there is a sentinel nearby, but I just am wanting to get everything out of this deposit. So I think I'm going to stay here until I actually get aggroed. It's a big deposit. I mean, if I had a need for activated quartzite, I'm certainly not going to be disappointed. I've got a lot of it now. Oh, and if I had realised, which I didn't realise at this stage, but I'm standing right next to polished stone, and one of the goals of this expedition is to gather a certain amount of polished stone, and so this is obviously a ruin planet. So all of these little like stone archways and things there are polished stone, which if I'd gathered that would have completed one of the goals. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I obviously complete it later, but I did not notice that. I wasn't looking out for that because it is one of the final goals. It's in phase 4 or 5. But basically, you just go land on this moon and it's right there. One of the other goals. I could have achieved that goal. Yes, this is a pretty unfriendly planet here. I think I might be looking for am I looking for my ship? I can't recall if I am or not. I think I might be just thinking, I'm just going to get out of here. Yeah. Because it's, it's not a very friendly place. And we're in an extreme storm. Look at how, yeah, I'm digging myself a place to hide right here. Okay, so I just dug a hole and waited in that hole for the storm to pass. And I think it's time to leave. Some planets are just really unpleasant to be on. This is by no means the worst of them, but just navigating across this terrain is horrid. Just horrid. So I can't remember what my goal was for coming down here, but I think that I've abandoned it, whatever it was. It was just like, nah, screw it, it's too hard. Which you definitely get on some planets. A lot of planets, it's actually just the temperature. It's just so hot or so cold that there's just no point staying there, because all of your protection is just dying out straight away. And then other planets it's like this. Well, you do have some hot storms here, but it was the terrain for this planet. Alright, so that was side quest. Side quest failed. And I think it just wants me to warp to another system, so maybe I'll do that. Or we should install that pulse drive upgrade. Cannot install that. Just doing some reorganization of things. I must be looking for something. But I truly cannot remember what it is. So I think heading to this minor settlement, which is going to take a wee while to get to. There you go. So I just cut that trip out, so you don't have to watch it. And we've arrived at this minor settlement. And now that we have arrived here, I can remember what I wanted to do. So you'll see very shortly what I wanted to do. And this is what I was looking for. But it just took me a little while to get everything happening. But we're about to do it. We're about to have a little bit of fun here. So picking up, so there's, what's we got going on here? C-class, not worth it. Leave it alone. Plus it's multi-millions anyway, I think. It's got better slot positioning than my one, but it's also 1 million units that I do not have. So I believe I can sell that Korvax casing because there are no aliens on this scenario, so there's no point in having it. But obviously didn't think about that right here. Yeah, so I decided to pick up a bunch of Starship launch fuel, which always comes in handy. Alright, now on to the main event. Oh, well, let's pull some pot plants out of their pots first to grab carbon. And then this actually turns out to be an ideal spot if I ever frickin' make it outside. There we go. It turns out to be an ideal spot for what I want to do here, because this little location has got whispering eggs. And from having whispering eggs, it also has, as you'll see pretty shortly, what am I even doing here? Oh, I think I'm just recharging my cold suit. Oh, I think there's is there a storm starting up?
Weather warning. Incoming storm.
Alright, so we're out of the ship and now just having a look at these whispering eggs. Tried shooting it with a boltcaster. Got it. Alright, so we get our little monstrosities out there, and I think I missed the lava core. Didn't get the lava core. But anyway, that wasn't the main event. The main point of this is that one of the expedition goals is you have to kill, I think it's 16 of these things. Yeah, you've got to kill like 16 of these. So I was just like, okay, well, let's do this. Let's get this one out of the way. Knock this out. Kill these 16 critters. And that's job done. I don't have to worry about it. To be fair, I didn't need to go out of my way to do this because I did run into a number of locations along the way on this expedition that had whispering eggs, so I could have quite easily done this expedition goal at any of those times. But it needed to be done sometime, and I did it now. And it meant that there was a little bit more fun just recharging up my cold protection. Because it's minus 82 outside, and that's not a pleasant temperature. So I made sure I got the lava core that time. Because of course they can be refined into nanites, which is nice. Little acid spitting monkeys. And this was an amazing place to do this, though. I was so glad that I ended up doing this because I was up on this platform that was fenced off. They couldn't get up there, so all they could do was spit the acid at me, and I wasn't ever in any real trouble here. So this was a perfect location for doing this. Absolutely fantastic for doing this. There you go. So I killed 16 biological horrors. I think I just finished. Did I finish the rest off? Or not even bother with it? Oh, no, I do actually go and grab some more lava cores. And now we're having a fire thingies. This planet is all over the place in terms of its temperature. So I'm just going to gather a couple more of these, I think. I think I was just enjoying myself enough that I was just doing this for fun. I don't get to shoot stuff very much in this game, so it's pretty unlike a lot of the other games that I play. So I think I was just like, yeah, it's great. Just shoot some things. So yeah, and so anyway, I mean, I'm gonna finish up this video pretty shortly. So thank you very much for watching. Please do come back, watch the next one. We're going to continue on with this expedition. Things are going to move a little bit faster from here on out because I've got some basic materials that I need, and I can just pretty much just kind of get on with doing things now. The ship's repaired and everything, so we're all kind of good to go. So thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also consider supporting me on Ko-fi, so just by basically making a small donation, and that helps me out. If you would like to support the channel in a more ongoing fashion, that is possible to do also through the Ko-fi app. You can make monthly payments if you'd like to do that, and any support is hugely appreciated. Helps me to continue on and do this thing and do it properly. So goodbye, we'll see you next time.